Good morning, 3B1 and Mom Sheena. We are the first group, and today we will be discussing about coordination and embedding. So, for the first group, we are Alanain, Alemania, Apilan, and Bautista. So, for today's topic, we do have here the list of contents that we will be discussing. We have coordinating and the definition of it. What does coordinating mean? And also, we will be introducing the fanboys and their function. So fanboys would are actually the coordinating conjunctions, and we will know more how they are used in a sentence. And also, we will be introducing the kernel sentence, what a kernel sentence is. And we also have some sample quizzes for us to be able to gauge if we were able to learn what we have discussed here. So before we go ahead and move on with the definition of coordinating conjunctions, let us first have some quizzes or some icebreaker. I will be showing some set of words or sentence, and also we will be determining what the meaning of those words are. So the first one we have here is the words "you," "just," "me." So, in the first glance, you will notice that, or you might think that these are just some jumbled words without meaning, but this is actually like a puzzle word, which means just between you and me. So, if you may have noticed, the word just is in the middle of the words you and me. So, that created the word just between you and me. So, from the syntactically and semantically incorrect sentence or words, we are able to give some meaning into it. And then we have here another sample which says cycle, 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 which just simply mean tricycle or tris. Since there are three cycles, so it is tricycle. Okay, next we have here painless operation. Okay, because why it is said as a painless operation is because we're actually trying to spell out the word operation, OPERATION, but we left out all those four letters, which is the word pain, PAIN. So we now have the word painless operation. So the word operation without the word pain or the letter PAIN. Okay, so we have here the word, a tiny, tiny little word, scope, which basically means microscope. So since it's really little, so it is micro. Next, we have the sentence or the words early, early, tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. Okay, so this, if you may have noticed, the meaning of this is too early for tomorrow. So the word two actually represents the number of the words early. So there are two early words or two words that says early, and then four words that says tomorrow. So it says too early for tomorrow. Okay, so those are just some words that is meant to exercise our brain to make us um, ready for the next topic. So let us now move on to coordinating conjunction. What is coordinating conjunction? The most popular category of conjunctions. Simply put, they bring equally important ideas together. They can join words, phrases, and clauses of equal importance and grammatical rank. So when we say coordinating conjunction, basically their role is to put together the words or phrases or sentences. So they are used to like link them together. So other definition we have here, coordinating conjunction. In the English language, they have 7 coordinating conjunctions. They're easy to remember if you can just remember the acronym. Okay, so they created the acronym FANBOYS. So FANBOYS stands for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Coordinating conjunctions are important when creating compound sentences or when contrasting different ideas. So, it's not just combining two sentences. Sometimes we have or we can link together contrasting or different ideas. So those two sentences that we are combining or putting together doesn't have to agree with each. I mean, with the idea of each sentences. It can be a contrasting one. Okay, so for the coordinating conjunction, we will be discussing their functions. We have the letter F for, which introduce a reason. We have the letter A or and to show an additional idea. We have the letter N or nor to have or to show negative form of or. And we have the letter B or but to limit or contradict or to contrast. The letter O or to show choices or option. Y or yet to limit or contradict. And S or so to introduce an effect or result. Okay? So the first one is the word for, which is the first coordinating conjunction in fanboys or the acronym fanboys. The word for explains a reason or a purpose. So usually when you see the word for, the sentence after that will be the explanation for the first sentence before that. For example, she was feeling very sad for she failed the exam. Okay, so it is like an alternate for the word because. Another example, the customers were annoyed for the sales lady was snobbish. So there, after the word for is the reason for the first sentence or the first sentence it connects. And then the other one is the word and. It is the second coordinating conjunction in fanboys and adds one thing to another. So it usually adds some words to another. It can be used to join two nouns, two verbs, two adjectives, two phrases, or two independent clauses. Let us take these words or sentences for example. My friends love to collect unique things and to make scrapbooks. So in this word, we can say or we can see that aside from collecting unique things, her friends also love to make scrapbooks. So we're adding the hobbies or whatever it is that we're following. So just an addition would be the word and. The next one is the word nor. Nor is the third coordinating conjunction in fanboys. It is used to represent a second negative idea to join a negative idea in the first clause. So remember when we're using the word nor, that means that the two clauses or the two sentences that we are trying to connect are both negative. For example, Dexter nor Jasper could be your laboratory partner. Because there's an explanation here. What if Dexter and Jasper already have their own partners? So again, when we use the word nor, that means we're combining two negatives. That means not one of these people can be her partner. Okay, and then the last one for my part would be the word but. The fourth fanboys coordinating conjunction is but. It shows contrast between two words, phrases, or ideas of equal importance. So, if you may have remembered, for the word nor, both the sentences that it connects are both negatives. But for but, it shows contrast. That means that if one sentence is negative, the other one should be positive. For example, he promised to take care of the dogs, but he forgot to feed them. Okay, so the first one would be positive in a sense because he promised to take care of the dogs, but then he forgot to feed them. So it's contrasting ideas. Okay, so those are some examples of the coordinating conjunctions, and the rest will be explained by my teammates. Thank you so much.
Good day, everyone. I am Shalomia Pilan, and I will be continuing the previous part of the report of Alpidona, which was about the fanboys. Okay, so now let's proceed to the fifth coordinating conjunction belongs to fanboys. Classmates, please bear with my voice. I'm sorry. I got this when I needed my beautiful voice most. Okay, so since we're teachers, the show must still go on. Okay, so going back, just a short adverb. Okay, so or is the fifth coordinating conjunction in fan voice. So it presents an alternative or a choice. So like and. So it can be used between two of the same part of speech as well as two phrases or clauses. Example. So we have here two sentences. So how will we, what coordinator? Yes, it was the or. So how will we combine these two sentences? So Dexter could be your laboratory partner and Jasper could be your laboratory partner. So this was also the example of the nor coordinator. So same thing, we could use this as like Dexter or Jasper could be your laboratory partner. So that's it. Could also be, for just another example, would you rather read a book or watch a good TV? So there's a choices. There's a choices that involved in the sentence. You have to choose. Okay? Next, we have here yet. So yet is the sixth, coordinating conjunction in fan voice. Okay? So it introduces a constructing idea that follows the preceding idea logically. So example, again, same sentence for the coordinating conjunction but, kasi same lang naman sila ng function din. Actually, same lang sila ng function. So in here, he promised to take care of the dogs. He forgot to feed them. So how will we combine this? Using the coordinating conjunction word, which was yet. So it will just look like this. He promised to take care of the dogs. Dogs, yet forgot to feed them. Okay, so that could be the representation of using yet in the sentence, combining these two sentences above. So for just another example, we have here, I always take a book on the beach, yet I never seem to turn a single page. So there's the yet. Okay? Next, so. The final word belongs to fan voice. Or fan voice coordinating conjunction is so. So it indicates an effect, result, or consequence from an action in the earlier clause. Okay? For example, okay, so same sentence. The sales lady was snobbish. So snub daw si sales lady. The customers were annoyed. So nagalit ang mga customer, nairita, nainis. So how will we combine that? So the customers were annoyed. So the sales lady was snobbish. Diba? Kasi snobbish is sales lady. So the customers were annoyed. Okay. So we're done with the meaning and the functions of the fan voice. Now let's proceed to the transition words. So I've searched here that transition. We can also use transition words in to coordinate sentences. Okay. So in here, as what I've said here, you can also use transition words, also known as conjunctive adverbs, to coordinate sentences, although they require different punctuation. If you are joining two sentences with a conjunctive adverb, you need to have a semicolon before the word and a comma after it. So after a conjunctive word or adverb, you have to put the comma, pero before, semicolon. So always remember that. So makikita natin yan in the previous slides after this. So these are the transition words or conjunctive adverbs. So first, However, this function as like a contrast. So just an example here, cycling class is a tough workout. So we can see the colon, or semicolon rather, then the however. After the however, we can see here the comma. Then the another main clause, which is I still attend 3 times a week. Okay, so cycling class is a tough workout. However, I still attend 3 times a week. Okay. So next, therefore. Therefore functions as cause and effect. So in the example here, Erin takes regular Pilates classes. So therefore, she is very strong. So again, we can see the semicolon before the transition word, which is therefore, and the comma after the transition word. So it was emphasized here. Next, for example. So for example, functions as general to a specific idea, something. So in the example here, there are many fun exercises. So semicolon again. For example, so you're giving an example, then comma, I take kickboxing and weightlifting. Okay. Next, and the last one, in fact. So in fact, function as like you are emphasizing something. Emphasis. Okay. So in a sentence here, example, Fat is obese with running. Semicolon, in fact, he is out running right now. Okay, so can we see the function of transition words and the usage of the this punctuation? Okay. So I have here a representation just to make our thinking clear, because we have representations in an illustration. Okay? So you can also coordinate with semicolons, as what I've said earlier. So aside from transition words, we can use semicolon. Semicolon itself. Okay? So kasama na si transition dito sa example ko ha. So main clause, then you can use the semicolon, then another main clause. Okay? So that is the first. Then we have here another main clause, then another main. Sorry, this is not the main clause. Transition word to dito sa center, guys. I'm sorry. Transition word siya ha. Itong sa gitna. So main clause plus transition word plus comma. So comma, then main clause. Okay? Itong main clause sa gitna, transition word siya, guys. Ha? I'm sorry. Hindi ko siya na-edit. Okay, so, as an example, the interviewer had 7 Persian cats. Okay, so we have here, we saw here, this semicolon. Then, as a result, it's the transition word. Okay, so later I'm going to edit this PowerPoint. So another, after the transition word, which is the as a result, comma, there's a comma, then another main clause, which is she would understand Marvin's predicament. Okay. So that's it with coordinating using semicolon.
Hi everyone, I am Crizel Jana Bautista, and since we are done with the coordination, let me explain what is embedding. So when we say embed in grammar, to place or attach a phrase or clause within another clause or sentence. So but before we proceed, let me introduce first the kernel sentence. So in transformational grammar, it is a simple declarative construction within only one verb, also known as a basic sentence or a kernel. So I believe we all know this when we create a simple sentence, SVO format. So this concept was introduced in 1957 by linguist Selig Harris and featured in the early work of linguist Noam Chomsky. So a kernel sentence is always in active voice because the subjects are performing the action expressed by the verb, so as opposed to passive voice, right? So they are the subjects are the doers of the actions rather than having the action performed upon them. So kernel sentence is also declarative. So you are simply stating something or stating the sentence. And affirmative, always positive because they express something that's happening as opposed to something that is not happening or a negative sentence. So for example, um, Mary cried. Mary cried. So that is a kernel sentence. So as opposed to the negative sentence, Mary did not cry. Like that. Can also have Mark played basketball. Such. So we all know the kernel sentence, right? Now we have embedded clause. So it is a clause or a group of words that includes a subject and a verb that is within a main clause, usually marked by commas, but not always. So it is an information related to the sentence topic and can be put into the beginning, middle, and end of the sentences to give the reader more information and enhance the sentence. It usually introduced by markers, that, when, which, who, etc. Again, not always. It um, could use gerund or a verb that acts as a noun of a sentence, like playing, swimming, running, like that. So embedded clause could be adverbial or adjective clause. We have nominal or sentence consisting of a subject and complement without linking verb. So we can use that, those, for, from, being, etc. as very interesting, those books, like that. So we have relative clause or the adjective clause, a dependent clause that modifies a noun or pronoun. So uh, it has a subject and verb but cannot stand alone in a sentence or as a sentence. It it always begins with relative pronoun. So when we are pertaining for a person, we can use who, whom, that, or whose, or for a thing, which, that, whose, like that. So for example, do you know the girl who started in grade 7 last week? Or can I have the pencil that I gave you this morning? So if we cut it from and started from the relative pronoun who started in grade 7 last week, that I gave you this morning, so the thought is not complete. Before we proceed to the example, so we need the kernel sentence and embedded clause to perform this embedding, what we call embedding. So kernel sentence can stand alone because it is complete in meaning, while an embedded clause cannot stand alone and it needs the kernel sentence to complete its meaning or thought. So embedded is reliant to the main clause, so it does not make sense on its own. Now we have let me explain this example. Let's have this example. So we have the main clause and the embedded clause. So the main clause, my bike and is broken. So if we remove the embedded clause, the thought is still complete. My bike is broken. But when we add this embedded clause, it adds uh, it adds more information, it adds information, and it enhances the subject, right? My bike, which is very old, is broken. So that is embedding. Now let's try and have more examples that will be explained by the next reporter. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you understand what is embedding.
So, hi, my name is Maria Risa Pamela P. Alemania, and my report is about the example, quizzes, and activities of embedded clauses. So, we have learned in the previous slide that embedded clauses are a group of words that includes a subject and a verb, and it is usually introduced by markers that, when, which, who, and etc. So let's try the example quizzes and activities. So direction. Identify the embedded clause in the following sentences. Number 1. Manila Bay presents a magnificent sunset experience that will last a lifetime. So the answer here is that will last a lifetime. Number 2. The place is often crowded in the early morning and late afternoon when people try to get glimpse of its world-famous sunrise and sunset. So the answer here is when people try to get glimpse of its world-famous sunrise and sunset. Number 3. Photographers take a picture of people sitting or walking along the bay area. The embedded clause here is sitting or walking along the bay area. Number 4. Being among now the popular sightseeing destination, it is among the top 5 tourist spots in Manila, Philippines. So the embedded clause here is being among now the popular sightseeing destination. So now we have more exercises. So in here, we need to choose to these three and put the embedded clause in the given sentences. So number 1, the child was crying in the supermarket. And the answer is the child who was lost crying in the supermarket. Number 2, the airplane was landing at the airport. So the answer is the airplane, which was full of passengers, was landing at the airport. Number 3, the people queued to buy a bargain. So the answer is the people who were pushing and shoving queued to buy a bargain. So in our report, we have learned the definition of coordinating conjunction, the use and the definition of fanboys, and also we have learned about the use of embedding and the sample quizzes and activities. Thank you for watching and enjoy learning.